I'm back with another episode of Mac Chat. This week I caught up with my teammate at Synetiq BMW, Bradley Ray. He was my teammate a few years ago and he's also raced against my brother quite a bit. So we talked about racing mini motors when we were younger, what it's like to have a pet Parrot, and what it's like to race at Suzuka 8-hour race, because I've never been over there, so that's always something I want to do too. So without further ado, here we go. Bradley. Oh,
What's going on?
What's happened to your hair?
Trim son.
I like it.
Bad boy.
When did that happen?
Oh, a couple of weeks ago. I had it trimmed and then I dyed it blonde and it went ginger. Bright ginger, so I had to get it
Bleached.
properly done by a hairdresser. So yeah, bleached up.
I did that, I'll happily admit, when I was 2 days before my sixth form prom.
Oh no.
I went to, not that it was going to make any difference anyway, because it was full of spots. It just finished the look off my bleached blonde hair.
Finished it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm meant to come like this.
Yeah. I don't know if you actually remember, but I've raced MINIMOTOS. You wouldn't remember me at the time because I wasn't very fast. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I'll be able to find a picture. So I wanted to know how you first got into racing.
So I first got into it. Obviously, I live in Lyd, and there's a go-kart track literally a mile down the road from where I live. And you can, when the bikes are on, you can hear them going around, and you can hear the go-karts. And back then, you used to do the British Supermoto events down there. So we went down there one day because we heard the bikes. I think it was one afternoon, and there was kids there, like tiny kids, 4 or 5 years old, ripping about on these mini motos. There's adults there. It was sort of like an open thing. So there used to be a big shop there. So we got chatting to the bloke there, and turns out we knew the bloke because Dad done some building work for him. And yeah, we just said, how do we get into this? How old do we need to be? Bits like that. And he said, you can ride, I think it was three or four you could ride at, but you couldn't race until you're 6. So we just used to, well, it started from there. Mum and Dad brought me and my older brother a mini moto for Christmas. Used to ride up and down the garden until I was 4. And then, yeah, just went to the track on practice days. We ended up getting really friendly with the bloke down in Lyd. And we used to go down after school from 3:30, I think it was. The track shut at 5, but the bloke used to give us a key to sort of lock up when we was done and just keep it tidy. So we used to do that a couple of days a week until I was old enough to race and start the championship.
Well, that makes sense why you absolutely smoked me then. When you guys used to race.
Yeah, we used to just go down there like a couple of days a week after school, straight into school uniform.
Really?
Absolutely loving it, yeah. No, it used to be wicked, but obviously it turned out that they changed owners, and the owner that's took it over now don't really enjoy bikes, don't like bikes, so it's literally just go-karts only.
Oh, I see.
We can't go down there anymore, but it is a wicked track.
Who else did you race mini motors with when you used to race?
So who did I race with? Tom Ward, used to race against him. Wayne Ryan, who he don't race anymore. Kyle used to do it. Kyle Ride. The Wigley brothers.
Oh yeah.
Matt Wigley, yeah. They used to be my main rivals.
Really?
Yeah, back in the day, yeah. They had these 2 quite trick bikes, and I could never beat them. Never, ever beat them. I'd always finish 3rd, and it'd grind on me. And a bloke we knew, Andy, his name is, who helped me a lot as a kid, he said, "Oh, your bike's horrendous." He said, "Your bike's so slow, it's like part of poo, basically." He said, "Let me take it back to the workshop. I'll put a fresh piston in, I'll rebuild it for you, and for your home round at Lyd." So I got there, and it was an absolute missile. Smoked the Wigleys. Absolutely smoked the Wigleys for the first time ever. Beat the Wigley brothers. Cleared off, and I think the next day both their bikes were up for sale.
Really?
Come back to the championship. So yeah, it was interesting, but yeah, it was good. It was wicked.
I always remember, it's funny things that stick in your head, just turning up at one of my first races was at Rye House. And I remember turning up there, and I only knew 2 Scottish kids that I'd raced against before that. and they said, "Oh, there's this lad here. He's called Danny Kent." And I remember, like, from that day, I've always had Danny Kent stuck in my head, and then I ended up, because he was the same age as me, racing against him a bit. It's funny, even back then, the amount of kids that did it. Fraser Rogers was another one.
Fraser, he was another one.
That was when racing was stressful. I used to get stressed at racing then.
Did you?
It's easier now.
God, yeah. They were good times.
The reason you stuck out in my head back then was obviously because you wore glasses and no one else wore glasses. I've always wondered as well, what's it like when you're wearing glasses racing? It's
alright. To be fair, the glasses are bang on because they sit well on my face. They got the rubber mounts in there. Shark do some special cheek pads that the cutouts on the sides, so they slide in, they don't move. The only time I noticed a few issues was when I done Suzuka. Obviously you're doing the hour stint, which we wouldn't normally do on a race. We'd only sort of do 30-40 minutes, and with the heat, humidity and no air, it was just the sweat would start to drip down the glasses, and it's like almost steam up a little bit. So there's a vent at the front which has a filter. If you take the filter out, there's too much air coming in, so I just had to cut a few little holes in it to let a bit more air in to sort of almost dry the sweat off before it dripped down my glasses. But apart from that, I've never
right.
had any. Yeah.
Because it's hard enough in racing anyway, trying to keep your visor clean and not fogging up without having something else to fog up in there.
Yeah, but no, I touch wood, I've been alright. I did try contact lenses once. It was at Mallory actually. Popped them in and I couldn't do it.
Really?
Because my prescription's so high that the contact lens they made wasn't clear enough. They couldn't get the prescription right. So like day-to-day wearing, I can use them, but when you're doing obviously the speeds and you need to be bang on it, it was just I couldn't physically do it. I could do 2 laps, pull in. It was strange.
And at the start of this year, before we started testing, we were meant to test, you went over to Spain with Chaz Davis. What was that like?
Yeah, it was wicked. It was sort of something that I wanted to do for a while. So I spoke with Matt, and he's quite friendly with Chaz. And he just popped the question, said Brad's keen to come out to Spain for almost like a little training camp. He said, yeah, no bother. So I'm out here from the 3rd of January till the 20th, and when they go off testing. So he said he's happy to come along, stay here, and we'll sort of take him under his wing and take him under and see how he gets on. So yeah, just went out there. I took the motocross bike and the supermoto. I brought a supermoto off Chaz actually. He had an old 2015 one. He said you can go and pick that up. I had to pick that up from his kart track. And done that, and just went over there. It was quite good. It was an eye opener because I sort of went out there thinking they're going to absolutely destroy me. They're going to be training 5-6 hours a day and do this, do that, and it was quite an eye opener to see that actually you don't have to almost kill yourself training as long as we sort of done things every single day. So we'd do cycle one day and then a bit of motocross the next and a bit of supermoto the next, but it wasn't sort of like a full 8-hour day where you're training and you're waking up and doing the same. It was sort of like as long as we kept ticking along, kept training and eating the right foods as well. I learned a lot out there with nutrition and refueling and making sure you're eating the right stuff and home cooked things and things like that. But it was nice to go out there and learn from obviously Chaz, who's been there, done it, got the t-shirt, done all sorts of training and racing a lot of championships, won a lot of races, so it was good eye opener.
Yeah, I think the other thing over there as well, what we struggle with sometimes in the UK is the weather. You can't guarantee the weather, and there's so many tracks over there as well. You can just ride every day of the week if you want to.
Yeah, that's it. It's funny. There's no almost sort of rules, is there? There's kart tracks. If you go there and they're just think of a price in their head when you turn up. That's €40, it's €50, whatever. You got like a couple of hours riding, and there's so many. Where he lives, it's near Barcelona, so there's so many tracks. And when I got to know the area, it's quite a common place where a lot of the racers travel to and stay around that area for the pre-season training. If you're into that.
Yeah, and then when you came back, we were due to go testing, which didn't. We sort of had a test. Did you? What did you think to BMW? Was that the first time you rode a BMW?
Yeah, so, no, sorry. So the first time I rode it was before Christmas. Popped out to Spain with Wardy. We drove out there in a van with a stocker. Got a few laps out in there. And then, the first time. And then I'd done another test in, I think it was January or February, on the stocker again in Spain. And then we went to Ireland and tested the superbike for the first time. So that was my first ride on the superbike. I was well impressed straight away with the stocker. Well impressed, but the superbike just seemed to be more comfortable. I felt more at home on it. Just the natural feeling of the bike compared to obviously the Suzuki I've been riding for the last 3 years. It felt more natural when I got in it. The position felt right. The bike felt comfortable to ride. It didn't take much adjusting or changes to almost make it feel like my bike. So it was a bit of a bummer that we lost 2 or 3 days of testing, but it was nice to get the first idea of it. So when we go riding again, we've got that thing in the back of your mind where you've had the time, you knew what it felt like, and hopefully when we do ride again, we've got some more upgrades and more parts coming. So it'd be nice to get back on it again.
And what happened when you raced for your previous team? You obviously started off really strong. We were sort of semi-teammates. We were in the same team but in different colours. And you got on really well straight away, and that was your rookie season in BSB. The next year you came back and then you won 2 races. And then what did you think your problem was after that? Because you had flashes of brilliance, and then other times you were struggling. Yeah. What did you struggle with?
It's hard to put your finger on it. It's one of them, you can blame the bike all the time, but I think it's a mixture of a few things. Obviously, you have a few bad rounds, you have a few crashes, you go from like being so high to almost being so low, and it's hard to, as a youngster, to sort of try and understand it and try and keep yourself level. So I think for me, there's a little bit of confidence lost for sure. There's no doubt about that. I mean, we had a few good rounds in 2019. We got the podium a couple of times and a couple of front rows and things like that. But overall, I think there was something lacking with the bike, and it wasn't that sort of connection with me and the bike that we didn't really gel that year. And we tried so much with the bike, and I think that didn't help as well. I think we tried loads of different things to try and get the feeling that I wanted, whereas almost it would have been better maybe to jump on the bike, keep it as it is, and just ride and build confidence instead of keep changing parts. But yeah, it's just the last year with the team, we just couldn't find that sweet spot. Sweet spot we need. But yeah, it was good for me. I learned a lot in myself. I think it's made me a better and stronger rider, mentally and physically. So it's one of them where you feel at the end of the year you need to have a change, you need to have a fresh start to regroup and almost start again, really. Yeah.
And whilst you were there the last couple of seasons, we talked about it before, but you raced at Suzuka. I spoke to Michael Laverty yesterday, and I've never actually done an endurance race. What's it like doing an endurance race, especially over there?
It's bonkers, absolutely bonkers, because obviously the main part is the heat and the humidity. I mean, it's like humidity is like 80-90%, and it's like I think one of the years it was like 35-degree heat, and it's just before you've even got on the bike you're dripping with sweat. So, and then you've got to do an hour of endurance riding. But what I didn't realise at first was they actually, when you say like the 24-hour race, you sort of get into a rhythm, you pace yourself and you sort of bring it home. But these boys, they go out and they're like 110% for an hour, because it's almost not endurance racing anymore. It's just, you've got 8 hours, and every stint you go on, you're just absolutely flat out. You just sort of think, right, I'll get into, I don't know, a second off what I can do and just pool around at that and do the stint and consistent. You're literally every lap flat out. And then obviously you come in, jump off the bike, run into the call room, strip your levers off, jump into the cold bath outside for 10 minutes, get a couple of bottles of water down you, and then you're straight back in, drying yourself off into your next set of levers. Especially because the first year I done 3 stints, and then the second year I done 4. Me and Bridal had to do back to back each time. So you literally have probably 40 minutes until you're back in the pit garage to get ready for your next stint. So you come in after the second stint, you're like, oh, I'm done. I've done 2-hour stints now. I haven't had any food. I need a drink. I could just do like a little sleep. And then obviously you're back out again for the next hour. And then the next hour you do is like half dark. And then, because you start it, I think you start at 6:30. And then you go into night. So you start it light and then it goes into night time. So it's just meant on the brain. It's bonkers. I think I weighed myself in the morning before the race. I was 71.4 kilos. And then I weighed myself when I finished the race. I was 67.4 or something like that.
Really?
Lost like 4 kilos. It's absolutely bananas.
That's mad.
But it was an incredible experience. It's something that you do and you think, I'm never doing that again.
Yeah.
You get home, relaxed. A couple of weeks later, you're like, I'm clucking to go out there.
Go back.
Yeah. It's mad. But yeah, if anyone gets an opportunity, if you get an opportunity to crack on and do it, what an experience.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah.
Talking of mad physical fitness tests, you tested yourself the other week. You did the Everest challenge. What did that involve and what was that like?
So we had to, there's a special route on Zwift, which is called Alpe Zwift. It's a 1,000-metre climb, 12.2k it is, and it's 10 or 11% gradient for I think we're about an hour it is per climb. So we worked out we had to go up it 8.5 times to complete the Everest challenge. And the worst thing about it was obviously chatting with the boys was G'ing up. And the night before the ride, we went on just having a scroll for Instagram, and Mark Cavendish put up on his Instagram that he's just done the Everest challenge, and he put it up. He was like, just done the Everest challenge in 10 hours 37. If anyone can even complete this in any time, he said fair play, because it was absolutely brutal. And I was like, oh man, so I screenshot it and sent that. I was like, boys, this is going to take us about 16 hours. So I sent that through. I was like, I can't believe it. If he thinks it's that bad, then I don't know how we're going to finish it.
Yeah.
But funny enough, me and Wardy ended up doing it in 10 hours 21. So we done it quicker than Cavendish, but I'm not sure how much he was pushing. But yeah, because there was 2 sort of not professional, but 2 people that cycle quite a bit and do races and things. So I said, if I can stay with them for a couple of climbs for as long as I can, and then just try and finish it after that. We went off together, us 3, and then Tom Ward come past us and just pissed off. And I was like, he's either going to carry on as he is or he's going to blow out and he's going to come back to us. So we've done a couple of climbs and he was still it was like a zigzag all the way up, and there was a couple of them in front. So it was probably about 10 minutes in front. And one of the boys' computer crashed. So his other brother waited for him, because they're two cycling brothers. They waited for him, so I ended up going up on my own then. And I slowly started catching Tom. So I thought, right, I'm going to put the hammer down, I'm going to catch him, get to the top. And then we went down together. And then for the last, I think, 5 or 6 runs up and down, we stayed together. So we done the whole thing together. But it's more the mental side of it, because you just sat churning away and you're not really going anywhere. But we had the Skype in the background, we had the call in the background, so we could talk to each other and that. So it went by quite quick, but yeah, it's just a hard grafting day.
Good achievement though. I bet you're glad you did it.
Well, good achievement. Yeah. Unbelievable.
And your other small fact that I'm sure some people know if they follow you on Instagram is that you've got a pet parrot.
Oh, yeah.
Where did the parrot come from? How did you end up with a parrot?
So it's a funny story, actually. So my mum and brother went to look at a tortoise at the local pet shop one day. So they went there, they were mooching around, and this lady was walking around with a parrot on her shoulder. And they're just walking up around, spoke to him, and the parrot jumped from the woman to my brother, just jumped over and just sat there. And he was walking around with the parrot, just looking at all these tortoises and that. And he was just looking over, he was giving it kisses and tickling it, and he was like, I've got to take it home. That's it. the tortoise never come home and the parrot did. So
Really?
it was the funniest thing because he went for a tortoise and come back with a parrot. But she was only, I think, 6 months old when we got her, so she's really young. But yeah, she used to come to BSB in 2011. She used to come along in a little cage. So we used to bring her along to that when we had the 125. She used to run out of our own awning. So she used to come along with that, and because obviously there's no pets, so we had to try and hide her the best we could. And we had her out one time, and I saw Jane walking round the back of the awning to come in. So I shouted, "Mum, quick, hide the parrot!" So we hid the parrot, and Jane come chatting in, and then walked off. And I said, "Oh, I don't know why she's gone now." So she come out, put the parrot on the floor, and then Jane walked back in again, and parrot. She was like shocked. There's a parrot there, and she's like, "Oh." We was like, oh no, sorry. We know there's no pets. She was like, oh, that's fine, it's fine. As long as you keep her in the cage. She was absolutely fine with
Really?
it. Yeah, so she used to come along to the races. It's brilliant.
That's funny.
Yeah, so funny.
Speaking of 125s, my last one thing I remember about you when you're racing 125s was your massive crash you had at Snetterton on the 125 and you high-sided. Was that your biggest... You broke your ankles then, didn't you?
Yeah, I broke my heel bone, yeah. Cracked straight through it.
And was that your worst ever injury on a bike, or have you had worse?
Yeah, touch wood, that's my worst. I haven't had any other breaks. I think I've fractured my right or left wrist before in a crash at Oldham, but yeah, that was definitely my worst.
That was a bigger. I don't know why that sticks in my head. I think Taz must have been in that race, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I think he was that year, yeah. Because what was he on? It was 2012 that it happened.
Was he on a KTM?
Might have been,
Tim Walker.
Yeah. But yeah, I remember, I can't believe how your eyesight of 125 like that.
That was a good one, that was. That was about as high as it gets.
It was, I got up and I walked, I thought, that's a bit sore. And I kept walking, I thought, that is sore.
Yeah.
And I took the old boot off and it just like went like a balloon.
That's the funny thing when you race bikes, for anyone that hasn't crashed a bike and broke a bone, nothing really hurts that much when you first... It hurts, but when you first crash, because there's so much adrenaline going, you don't really know what's happened. I broke my knuckles once, and I'm on TV, like, doing this with my hand, like, looking at it, like, why is that so swollen? And then, like, an hour later, you can't move any finger.
Can't move, yeah. Absolutely throbbing.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, no, it's mad.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that, Brad. That was a good chat. I'll
no problemo, mate.
See you soon when we're testing, hopefully, and we're back out.
Yeah, no, it'll be good. I don't know when we're out.
Yeah, I'll speak to you soon, mate.
Alright, geezer.
Alright, cheers. See you in a bit. Cheers, Brad. Bye-bye.
Ta-da.
That's it for this week on Mac Chat. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel, and I'll be back very soon with another one. Bye for now.